Chacon is a retired FBI agent. And Bobby, thanks for being with us tonight. Aside from the international thoughts and prayers, is there anything the Mexican government and by extension the Biden administration can do to bring these people to justice?
Well, sure, Del. I think they can conduct an investigation, find out who did this, and beyond the one person that is in custody. I mean, we can. I don't want this to fall into like a scapegoat guy that was picked up off the street by Mexican police, so they can lay all the blame on him and let the cartel get away with it. But I think there needs to be a full investigation. I think the Mexican authorities have to allow the FBI and the DEA, who both have offices in country in Mexico and operate there regularly, to take part in the investigation in a robust way. They need to go after the Gulf cartel, which runs that town, and they need to hold them responsible. I mean, you heard the spokesman for the State Department just say they want accountability. Well, the Biden administration is in the position of putting pressure on the Mexican government for that accountability, and that starts with a full and complete investigation with the FBI and the DEA involved.
You brought it up, but that was going to be my first question. How confident are you that this man, this suspect that Mexico says it has apprehended in connection with this shooting spree, is the person that actually pulled the trigger, as opposed to somebody that the cartel just simply wanted to get rid of as far as an easy scapegoat?
I think there's a chance that you're exactly right. I think that this happened very quickly to me when I heard there was one person in custody already. Obviously, from the video, we know there were more than one person involved. There was more than one gunman. Forensic evidence will probably bear that out once those autopsies are done. There's probably more than one weapon used. And so we need everybody to be accountable, including the people that may have ordered it. So these cartels run on a very structured a system, and so there are people giving the orders and people using the guns, taking the shots and stuff. And so I think that everybody needs to be held accountable that had anything to do with this tragic incident.
Bobby, so many Americans travel to Mexico thinking that this sort of thing happens to the Mexicans and not Americans. They ignore the bodies dangling from bridges. How dangerous is it really for Americans who frequently cross the border?
Well, look, Mexico's a big country, just like the United States. There are more dangerous places to go and less dangerous places to go. I think it's always prudent to do your research, to go on the State Department website and see where the warnings are right now. Matamoros has been a hotbed of violence for many years, actually since about 10, 12 years ago, when the former head of that cartel was taken out, creating a power vacuum. And so internal groups within the Gulf cartel have been battling for leadership. And so that's why it's more dangerous. Everybody knows Matamoros is a dangerous place to go. There are other places in Mexico that are not so dangerous. And there are probably some places in Mexico that aren't dangerous at all. So it depends on where you're going. But it looks like these four Americans happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Matamoros, Mexico has been the wrong place for a long time.
Bobby, who is more powerful, the president of Mexico or the cartels?
That's a tough question. That's a really tough question, Del. I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, obviously you'd say the cartels, if there's a will to get rid of the cartels and dismantle them, then if the Mexican president is more powerful, he would be able to accomplish that. But president after president after president of Mexico has vowed to end the cartel's dominance, and they still seem to be there, and they still seem to be carrying out these kind of attacks and keeping whole areas of Mexico under their control. So I would have to say, that in this instance, it looks like the cartels may be more powerful.
Is it because the people that work for the government don't make as much money as the cartels can pay?
I mean, that's part of it. Look, money talks, right? Money buys weapons, money buys cooperation, money buys corruption. And so I think you're right. I think that the money that the cartels generate and they use to wield, violence and to wield political power and to develop corruption of judges and prosecutors and politicians, I think that that's a part of it. I think the money is definitely a part of what keeps them in power.
Bobby, final question. We understand that investigators believe the Americans were targeted by this cartel because they were mistaken for Haitian drug smugglers. Does that sound accurate?
It's possible, but it doesn't sound legitimate to me. I mean, you can pretty much tell very quickly that these were not gang members. I think these were 4 people that were going there for 3 of them were going there to support a friend who was having a surgical operation. I don't think that they looked like gang members. They probably weren't behaving like gang members. I mean, if all you see is 4 African Americans in a car and assume they're Haitian gang members and open fire on them, boy, that's a level of violence and callousness that should never be allowed. And so, I really find it hard to believe that that's what they were thinking. If it is, it still does not excuse the murder. You can't murder people because you think they're somebody that they're not. Even if you think they are who they are, it's still not an excuse to open fire and murder people in cold blood, people who don't have weapons, who aren't a threat to you. And so, it sounds like a convenient excuse. Look, they've got a convenient excuse and they've got a convenient person in jail right now. And I think that both of those situations have to be looked into very carefully.
Bobby Chacon, who retired from the FBI. Bobby, thank you very much. It is not that unusual for people to cross the border into Mexico for treatment or medicines. To begin with, it is a lot cheaper. For others, those soaring costs leave them no choice. Scripps News national correspondent Thomas Hoppo traveled to the border town of Brownsville.
Here in Brownsville, Texas, a lot of people come to this bridge to walk across the border and get some type of medical treatment. There's even a pharmacy over there that is cheaper than the medicine here in the United States. And a lot of people do this routinely every day.
There are people asking, are we all okay? And what are you going to do? So people are concerned, but there are people who don't live here necessarily. And so they aren't aware of what it's like.
Like many border towns, Brownsville, Texas is full of residents that go over the border for everyday supplies.
Many people, especially winter Texans, move here specifically because of the low cost of medical care in Matamoros and other border towns. So that's just an everyday part of life.
One of the biggest reasons people travel across the border is to seek medical care or to purchase medication. Some call it medical tourism. That was something authorities said 4 Americans were doing before they were kidnapped.
I would say we go at least once a month to get things, and it won't change me. I hope it won't change anybody else, but there will be some people who are afraid.
Kathy Harrington goes for dental care and medical prescriptions.
Well, especially in my community, it's a 55 and older community, and we tend to go to Mexico for our prescriptions and things because it's so much more reasonable.
Patients beyond borders